The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
It's the year 2024 and you just can't get enough D, okay? You can't get enough D. You even want D. You even want D from your rivals. What?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. You know why? Because it is your Canucks almost every damn day. Part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across the world. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe, like, follow our channel for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Wait, what the hell already happened, dude? Podkolzin just got traded for a 4th-round pick to the Oilers, man.
Whoa, breaking news as we record.
News.
Let's
Change
go.
the thumbnail.
Okay, what?
Okay, the Podkolzin goes to Edmonton for a 4th-round pick. What's going on here, dude?
Wow. Okay.
What do you think's going on here? Break it down. We got to change the thumbnail. You keep talking, okay? Podkolzin just got traded for a 4th-round pick to the Edmonton Oilers, and we started the episode off talking about everyone just needs more D in their life.
Yeah, it was ironic. Right? We were going to talk about Brett Kulak potentially coming to the Canucks based on some speculation, but Podkolzin for a 4th. I mean, look, a couple of things come to my mind off the jump. Okay, this is not the management regime that drafted Podkolzin, and you see what they did this offseason. They didn't really have Podkolzin in their plans for next season, right? This guy was waiver eligible. They could have lost him for nothing on the waiver wire if they decided not to keep him with the team. And this is a guy who, again, last year, you're kind of grasping at straws to tell yourself that he's going to become an NHL player. And, I've told listeners before, I was kind of iffy on Podkolzin's game down there, right? He's got like 0.75 points per game, looking okay on the power play, which he never would have gotten that opportunity in Vancouver. I thought guys like Ratu got a lot stronger as the season went on. Archie Baines was by far better than Podkolzin last season. And then Podkolzin with his cup of coffee with the Canucks. I mean, sure, he tries hard and he works hard, but he didn't do a lot. So, but it is weird to trade him to the Edmonton Oilers. I know for our YouTube viewers, you're seeing the Edmonton loser logo up here.
What's going on?
These two teams, it's interesting that they're even dealing with each other in the first place. But again, that's the value for Podkolzin right now, right? Like, Kyle, you and I talked about him in trades.
Why to the Oilers, man? That's scary, bro. I'm getting emotional. Sorry, but it's just like, dude, like, why would you want to? It's ironic because originally we're going to talk about this rumor that the Canucks may be interested in Brett Kulak because the Oilers need somebody to take on some money so they can keep Broberg and all this jazz, and the Canucks would be interested in a good skating defenseman and Kulak, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, the Oilers probably wouldn't do that because they probably wouldn't want to help us out. They probably want to play a team that has Tyler Myers as their number 4 defenseman and not give the Canucks more options to potentially improve on that, even though Kulak wouldn't really push the needle that much. But again, the Oilers would be hesitant. I'm not going to help you out. Maybe the Canucks can make it a little more persuading if, let's say, again, this would be a dump for the Oilers. Let's say the Canucks would be asking for the least, when it comes to absorbing more money, like just to make something like that happen. But now I'm seeing Podkolzin for a 4th, and I'm like, yeah, you kind of see it, right? Edmonton possibly looking at Podkolzin as a replacement for Dylan Holloway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a flyer, taking another chance. And Podkolzin, who was like doing a lot of hitting last year, now he's going to be angry at the team that just traded him to a divisional rival. And is he going to be like an effective 4th liner? I'm just being pessimistic and like assuming the worst, and just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh, how did this happen? And do you really want to be trading with the division rival? Like, talk about that, Trevor. You want to be trading with the ops? Like, what did we just do here?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing sexy about trading Podkolzin for a 4th rounder, right? And it does feel a little different emotionally that they trade him to the Edmonton Oilers. But look, at the end of the day, this trade isn't going to move the needle one way or another. Like, I don't see Podkolzin breaking out and giving the Canucks headaches or the Canucks regretting this trade. To be honest, it's not like you're walking away from this tree screaming like, "Oh, the Canucks traded Podkolzin for a 4th. Get rid of that guy." Like, he was a prospect and fans are still excited about him. But I just talked about this on the Locked On NHL show that I just finished recording before I hopped on this, talking about guys who could make the team next season. And I talked about how Podkolzin, I mean, this is his last chance, right? He got drafted by this team 5 years ago. The guy they drafted after him had 24 goals for this team last year, right? Podkolzin had 0 goals in 19 games. He got a lot of his points in the AHL on the power play, again, in a spot that he would never be getting those opportunities in Vancouver. I mean, look, Podkolzin, he tries hard, he works hard. He could be an effective bottom 6 player in this league, don't get me wrong. And that is and if that happens, that's the Oilers win this trade, right?
Dude, that's how much the Canucks don't believe in Podkolzin. They're just willing to, again, sign him to a 2. Didn't they just sign him to like 2-year deal worth $1 million each year? And they don't believe him that much that they trade him to the Oilers out of all teams. Like,
let me ask you this, Kyle.
I'd rather get a 5th from another team, wouldn't you? Like, I don't like trading with my ops. Like, let's say my ex-girlfriend, okay, the first one that I had, the first love that I had, the same one that ditched me for another girl, broke my heart because she had to, again, cheat on me with another girl. Let's say I was selling some things on Craigslist and she wanted to buy one of those things. Like, she showed up to the door after exchanging emails and whatnot, and it was her. I wouldn't give her the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the ops. You can't. But hey, honestly, new regime, championship pedigree, you gotta trust it. But this is a little dark for me. This is hard, man.
You know, I think this is you're definitely more of an emotional Canucks fan than me. That's for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Are you? But like, let me ask you this. I mean, yeah, you trade with the Canucks. I guess their biggest rival in the league right now, right? You could grasp on Chicago and Boston, but it's Edmonton based on what happened. So that trading with your rival is weird. I mean, we took Vinny D. They're taking Podkolzin, and we're talking about bottom of the roster players at the end of the day. But let me ask you this, Kyle. You know, we cover the Canucks. We watch a lot of Canucks. We watch some abs for Canucks. Do you believe in Podkolzin? Do you think, like, what is he going to become as an NHLer, according to you?
I was looking forward to this guy potentially doing the whole Dakota Joshua thing, possibly, or, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of like be physical, tap into your skills eventually after you gain some confidence. Because I think with Podkolzin, the big thing was ultimately seeing a guy that had no confidence. Like, he just wanted to like skate around and have good shift after good shift in that like that simple way. But that ability to be an X factor, a top 10 pick, that pedigree, he just didn't feel as if he could go there shift in and shift out. Like, it was risky, that he had to play the game the right way, all in all. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the version of him just hitting people and being a 4th liner. Yeah. The 4th round pick, that's, it's like a waiver player. It's like, it's Sam Lafferty. You know what I'm saying? It's that type of guy, but I'm looking at a couple of those games that he played towards the end of the season and some of the physicality that I brought. And I'm like, okay, what if that offense does sprinkle in? Do we have another Dakota Joshua?
Yeah, I think you're right. That is the absolute ceiling for Podkolzin. I don't know. I personally don't believe he's going to get there. But look, Dakota Joshua also did it at the age of like 26, 27. So you really do never know. Right?
Yeah.
And Podkolzin works his ass off. So, there's a part of me that still believes in Podkolzin. But he had the opportunity last year and he did next to nothing with it, right? So there's that part of it as well. And look, is he even a prospect anymore? I think that's an argument too. The guy got drafted over 5 years ago, right? Bro. I mean, at some point it's like, but he had a tough season last year. And, we've talked about that before. Every dayers know. He had the concussion, the massive hit early on. Bounced back from that, ended up having a middling season in the AHL. But like, how much did that hit affect his season? So there are a lot of variables at play with Podkolzin here. But
unreal.
Again, it's we Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. We got to judge the trade in the moment, and I think I have a hard time calling it a win or a loss. Right? It feels weird that they've done it with the Oilers. There's risk involved, right? Especially when you're only getting a 4th round pick back. But I think more or less when you see these trades happen, nothing really comes of either way. I don't think Podkolzin is going to be much more than a middling bottom 6 player, and a 4th round pick. That's a lottery ticket. So. But maybe on the other side, we'll talk about, did the Canucks just help out the Oilers? Did that just happen?
Or can we talk about like what else is in the plans? Like how desperate were the Canucks to shed $1 million in salary?
Or is that have more to do with them not just believing in Podkolzin? But let's get into all of that on the other side. I
gotta change the thumbnail, man. Okay, you do your thing.
You press the thumbnail. I shout out the sponsors. Shout out to you for listening to this episode of Locked On Canucks. More to come on the other side after we shout out our friends over at Indeed.
Bada bing, bada
All
boom.
right. All right. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, but match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data. And they have a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work and use Indeed to help you out for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed, they do it all, okay? They don't just help you hire faster, but 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. Again, according to a recent Indeed survey. I love Indeed because they make life easy, okay? I can sit back, relax, and scratch my sack, and you can do the same if you use Indeed. And listeners of the show, guess what? You will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam. I'll press the. Okay, we back on this episode of Locked On Canucks, the episode that was not supposed to go like this, okay? We were supposed to talk about Brett Kulak, Justin Schultz possibly being replacement players for Tyler Myers when he's not playing like a number 4 defenseman. And man, oh man, we just got hit with dealing with the ops, okay? Anyways, this is Locked On Canucks at the Don't Doze Art Lab. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Again, Christmas is coming up in a couple of days, and happy wife equals happy life. Trevor Beggs, I'm still not with it, man. I'm not going to lie. Emotional episode, 12 minutes into this. I'm actually a little upset that we did this because I don't know. I feel as if trading him to Edmonton is the most disrespectful thing you could have done to a guy like this because that's how much you don't believe in him. I think he's going to play with a bit of an edge now. Again, 2 years, $1 million per year with the Oilers now. I think he's going to play for some more money. He's going to be around McDavid, Draisaitl. Something may give here, man. And again, the Oilers just replaced Dylan Holloway with one of our guys, and this guy happened to be a 11th overall pick from 5 years ago. A lot is going on right now, bro. I feel like we lost this. And bro, I know I'm just rambling here, but don't you feel like a loser for again wasting another top 10 pick? Like it's certain. Now it's certain. We don't even get like a Podkolzin version of Dakota Joshua. We actually just get a 4th round pick. Damn.
I also think the odds of that happening, and maybe you got to let go of that mentality a bit, because sure, that's a possibility, but it is by no means a likely outcome, right? You're really grasping at straws if you think Podkolzin guy is going to turn into Dakota Joshua. So, yeah, again, I think I've said it on the other side. I mean, it's weird to trade with your rival. It's weird to trade a former top 10 pick for a 4th round pick, but I think this is going to be pretty much a nothing trade at the end of the day. I'm not. Maybe I'm poo-pooing on Podkolzin a bit, but I think work ethic, I like to believe it can get you to high places, but, I just, from the get-go, I just don't think this guy's going to be much more than the bottom 6 NHLer. And I think Dylan Holloway is, if you're replacing Podkolzin with Dylan Holloway, I mean, Podkolzin has really got to find his mojo, man. And it's possible. It's possible in Edmonton, but I think your emotional reaction is, maybe I'm just trusting this management team.
No, you are. You know what? You're more mature than I am. Okay, look at this comment from Matt Folger. One love to all the comments. Just going off, feeling emotional. Sunday, August the 18th, and the Canucks, again, the most entertaining team in hockey when they're on, is doing what they're doing best, and that's again giving us juice. Matt Folger saying this management group does not mess around. They weren't going to wait until camp. What do you think Matt means by that, Trevor? Again, you just raved about the management group. They're giving you this calming assurance that anything they do is the right move, and here they just gave up Podkolzin or a 4th round pick to our rivals, the same dude that showed you just enough this regular season to believe in and give a 2-year deal to at a cheap rate. Like, what does Matt mean by like this management group? Your favorite people not messing around.
Look, I think, cap space in the NHL is really crucial, no matter what stage you're at, no matter if it's $1 million here, $1 million there. And, actually, again, I just said this on the Locked On NHL show, 20 minutes ago now when I recorded it. But, I think Alvin is preparing for the fact that this defense might not be as good. as they think it might be, right? We talked about this defense throughout the offseason, right? Every Dayers know. But on paper, it's worse than last season. There's no question about that. And they're banking on this management group, or the coaching staff, I should say, to make sure Susie's a solid number 3 and Myers keeps up as a number 4, and that Vinny D can be something more than he showed in Edmonton. So you're really banking on a lot with this defense. And I think Patrick Allvin is preparing for the fact that he may need to trade for a defenseman. Because we talked about it throughout the offseason, right?
Okay.
How they probably they do need another guy on the right shot side, right shot D. Preferably a second pairing one. And, right now with the Tucker Pullman cap hit, I think they could squeeze under the cap right now, if I'm not mistaken. And I take Podkolzin's money off the books, and all of a sudden, are you playing with $3.5 million, right? So I think the Canucks, again, they are a contender. And as a contender, you don't want to be capped out. You don't want to be in the position that Edmonton's in right now, where all of a sudden you might not be able to keep guys that you want to keep who could be a part of your future. And the Canucks are trying to avoid that. So I think it has more to do with the longer term vision than actually, the disrespect to Podkolzin or anything like that.
I think it has something to do with another move coming up for the Vancouver Canucks. Because what is in the cards for the Vancouver Canucks that they ultimately take a chance in aiding the Oilers? You know what I'm saying? Not having them, waste their time, waste their summer nurturing time to fill out a bottom 6 winger now because they're going to lose Dylan Holloway. Let's just help them out in that regard. Why did they need to save this money and get a 4th round pick? What is coming up, dude? You're talking about this whole defenseman thing. Maybe we need to make a trade now to replace Myers as their number 4 guy. I'm surprised that, again, Brett Kulak or Cody Ceci is maybe not part of this deal. When I saw the whole Podkolzin thing, I'm thinking, okay, that's what happened here, and it would have been so much fun to break down that type of rationale of a trade. But here we just have nothing for him. And it makes me believe that this is going to be a busy week for the Canucks, man. Who's coming to the Canucks, Trevor? Make some predictions, man. What's going on right now?
Yeah, I don't think it's anyone from Edmonton, so we're going to have to scrap the title, right? I know you had Brett Kulak in the original headline.
I changed it already. I changed it already, man.
All right.
We're moving. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't necessarily think it's a move this week, to be completely honest with you. I think the Canucks are banking cap space and preparing for an addition later on in the season. I could be wrong, right? This is a team that has made moves, right at the eve of training camp. They did that last season with the Smith and Lafferty and all that. So maybe this is an eve of training camp thing. But maybe that's an episode for this week too. Who are the Canucks acquiring? I'm not sure off the top of my head. But I do think that they want to improve this defense. I'm not sure if it's going to be this week. I'm not sure if it's going to be the eve of training camp. I'm not sure if it's going to be mid-season. But I think at some point, they absolutely want to improve this defense, because you can't tell me that the Canucks, a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, a team that I have called a top 5 team in the NHL entering next season, is going to win a Stanley Cup with Carson Soucy and Tyler Myers as their second pair, and Derek Forbert and Vincent D on the third pair. I don't think it's happening. So they need to add a defenseman at some point.
Look at this comment from Dan Jardine, one of the best commenters on the program. He's talking about how Kulak and Ceci aren't much of a prize. Aim higher, Vancouver Canucks. And you know what? Not going to lie. Dan is 100% spot on from that, because both those defensemen, and I know Cody Ceci hit us with a dagger in Game 7, and I'm actually a Kulak fan to an extent. I think he's a good skater, but I don't know how much you're improving that position if you go out and get one of those guys versus getting the best out of Noah Juulsen, based on what I saw from him at times last season. Okay. Anyways, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs, Locked On Canucks, Podkolzin just gets traded for a 4th round pick. On the other side, I want to talk about some of the players that we missed out on. Okay. 2 specifically speaking, when we drafted Podkolzin, and I don't know, we'll just do more reading of the comments. How did the people feel? Let us know in the comments. Okay. The live chat, because it's Sunday. I need a beer, man. I need a drink, man. Go Canucks, go. Hockey season is just around the corner. Beggsy. Who we shouting out before we talk about all that?
All right, I'll tell you what my ball hockey GM thinks of the other side about this trade. I just got a text from him. Let's get to your comments and talk a bit more about the Canucks right now. Podkolzin again dealt for a 4th round pick to the Edmonton Oilers. Unbelievable stuff. More coming up on the other side here on Locked On Canucks after we shout out our friends over at eBay Motors. All right, if you're an everydayer or if you're an occasional listener, you know the deal by now. It's passion, it's drive, and it's patience. That's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust case, in-seat bidets, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, baby. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
People, we're back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. More importantly, that dude is Trevor Beggs. And even more important than that, you and you and you and you and you and you are joining us for this conversation. Again, we say it every day because it's truly the truth, okay? Me and Trevor living the dream because, again, of you and you and you and you. Man, oh man, I feel like I'm living in a dream, okay? I feel like I'm living in a dream. I was about to talk about Justin Schultz being on a professional tryout, and we just traded Podkolzin for a 4th-round pick to the Oilers. And Trevor, you know, the more and more we do this and that's ramble about this topic, the more and more I realize how emotional I am, because here I am talking about us trading a guy that has like 2 goals in his last 60 games. Other than, again, being a bit of a forechecker, he wasn't giving us much, and I'm feeling as if we just lost this trade. And I'm happy that we're talking about it because I'm warming up to the reality that, man, oh man, Rutherford and Alvin, these guys are just, they don't give a beep, yo. They're confident. They're confident. They're cocky. This is a cocky trade, okay? Earlier on, I'm thinking, no, they made a mistake. Now I'm thinking, bro, these guys are just with it, man. I believe in these guys because if they're willing to do this and trade with the ops, the team that just eliminated you, bro, they're willing to do something else, man. Something big.
It's a different era for the Vancouver Canucks, right? You know, I think over the past 10 years, there was no benefit of the doubt for any move that the previous management regime made. There's no benefit of the doubt for the coaching staff. But nowadays, the coaching staff has earned the fans' trust. The management team has earned the fans' trust. And look, you look at this trade and you can quibble over, oh, it was a bad trade. And why are the Canucks trading with Edmonton? I'm telling you right now, this trade is probably not going to matter one way or the other at the end of the day. And I think it's more likely that it allows the Canucks to do something else that they want to do heading down the road. Now, Kyle, I want to ask you this as well, because again, we talked about it already. Podkolzin was on the outside looking in for making this roster. Was he more than likely to go through waivers? What if, and Edmonton might not even keep him, man. I need to do a bigger deep dive in Edmonton's depth chart. What if he doesn't even make the Edmonton Oilers out of camp, right? Like you talked about him being kind of insurance for Dylan Holloway, but I look at the Canucks too, and it's like, okay, he's not one of the top 12 forwards. So does he beat Phil DiGiuseppe? Does he beat R.C. Baines, right? Like, I thought R.C. Baines was way better than Podkolzin last season. So, I don't know. Like, the more I think about it, training camp could say a lot of things. Obviously, he had a terrible training camp last year. But the more I think about it, it's like, I have a feeling this guy's going to go through the waiver wire anyways.
Yeah, and look at this comment from Alec touching just on that, okay? With all the wingers that the Canucks signed this offseason, I think they signed like 7 or 9 or 12. It was going to be tough for Pots to crack the lineup. Better to get a 4th than lose him on waivers. Okay, true, but like the Oilers, again, that's going to... I'm a loyal dude, Trevor. You know that, man. Trust is important to me, man. For real. For real, man. That's everything to me. And playing around or sleeping with your enemies here, it's scary, man. It's scary. But again, I think something bigger's happening, man. Again, only acquiring a 4th-round pick and maybe saving like $1 million, or I'm hearing that they might have retained based on the comments. Who knows if that's the truth or not. They're not saving that much money, but here I am thinking that, okay, something else is happening.
Something else is going to happen. I'm telling you. I'm predicting it right now. Let's get the music on, okay? Someone's happening.
Man, oh man. Okay, let's talk about 2 players that, yes, 2 players. We'll talk about these 2 players who we missed out on, okay? Based on this trade. Or this draft pick that was Vasily Podkolzin back in 2019 in Vancouver, okay? We missed out on Matt Boldy and Cole Caulfield. So we lost, man. Benning, you suck, bro. It's crazy how, like, on one end, the Canucks, if they win a Stanley Cup, it's because, again, Hughes, Pettersson, Miller, the Miller trade, that's Benning, bro. Benning's like, dude, straight up. Like, I don't know how he pulled that one off. And the Besser thing and Demko and whatnot, but on the other end of it, it is so atrocious, man. Like, this guy's was just horrible at his job. And picking Podkolzin in Vancouver when the draft was there, such an important pick, and missing out on Boldy and Caulfield, like that hurts.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Jason Botchford. I think Benning should have just been reading Jason Botchford at the time. Like, all Botchford was writing about was how perfect it would have been if the Canucks drafted Matt Boldy to put him alongside Elias Pettersson. And Botchford, man, that guy was right more often than he was wrong, and he was certainly right about that one.
One love to botch, man. One love to botch. It again, like getting all emotional here, and then you just bring up Botchford's name. That didn't come. That came out of nowhere too. I haven't thought about Botchford in a long time, and yeah, he was a legend, man. And like you said, right more often than not, and Matt Boldy with Pettersson, or just Matt Boldy with JT Miller, dude. Anything better than Podkolzin. Like, we got a 4th round pick in 2020, whatever, 2025, like a 4th. Like, dude, you said that was a lottery ticket. That's like, you know how like you have a chance to win something when you buy a box of cereal? That's what that is. Not a lottery ticket, man.
It's a free CD-ROM game, on like a Windows 98 computer. Sorry if you're under the age of 30.
Holy, Trevor, going back to it again. I know you said that Botchford wanted Boldy, but like, who did you want? Because I wasn't that into like viewing prospects at that age of my life, and I kind of liked the pick at the time because Podkolzin seemed like a project player, and for once, Benning made a move that had like a long-term aura about it, and I enjoyed that. I was like, okay, cool, this is mature. You know what I'm saying? Podkolzin did a lot of good things at a young age in Russia. Players don't really do those things, all this jazz, and all in all, though, going back to it, like, how are you feeling about that pick when it was made?
You know what? I was torn on it because on the one hand, like, Podkolzin was projected to be a top 3 pick early on in that season. But as the season went on, it was, he had the high pedigree because of like the intangibles and the leadership and the fact he played the KHL. And I think he was captain of the World Junior team in his draft year as well. Had a lot more to do with the leadership than the actual production. And that to me was a red flag. I mean, to be honest with you, from what I watched, and Botch influenced me too, but I really liked Matt Boldy at the time. I kind of wanted to draft Matt Boldy. I was really into Trevor Zegras as well. Maybe it's because I shared a name with him, or maybe because the guy was just really damn good at hockey. But after Zegras was gone, I was kind of hoping they would draft Boldy. I was intrigued when they drafted Podkolzin. I was a little skeptical because, again, I think Boldy was my guy at the time. But what do I know? I'm just Trevor Beggs.
You know what people should do right now? Well, after this episode, go listen to one of the most recent episodes of Canucks Conversation, because I feel as if they talk to like a prospect dude. And I'm going to do a lot of paraphrasing here, so just go back to it if you're more fascinated about everything Podkolzin. But he was saying how he knew it was a bad pick right away. And he was talking about how Podkolzin's best moments as a young player in Russia, playing in all these leagues where young players normally don't play in, they happened more often than not when he wasn't playing the best competition.
Yeah.
So he was just looking better. And that hurt my heart. So I think I heard that actual episode yesterday, and moving into the now, like, it's just crazy how this trade happened. And look at Matt, man. Matt Arthurs, man, saying it's a horrible trade, man. Yo, Matt, it's Sunday, August the 18th, bro. You gotta enjoy a patio burger, man. Make yourself a burger, man.
My ball hockey captain Aaron Gray just texted me saying it was a horrible trade as well. So look, again, there's nothing sexy about this trade, man. Podkolzin for a 4th, nothing sexy about it. But again, I don't think Podkolzin was even going to make this team. If I'm going to be honest with you, I mean, never say never. The guy could have had a training camp. He could have been the next Dakota Joshua, sure. But I think the odds are that he was not going to make this team, and he was going to end up on waivers.
I wonder how like Alvin and Rutherford got the insight that this guy wasn't going to bring it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel as if they got the insight prior to July 1st because they signed a bunch of wingers, They signed a bunch of them, and this is, again, a month after they signed him to a 2-year deal. Like, you got to admit, there was a bit of a roller coaster of theory / assumption when it came to Podkolzin, even from Rutherford and Alvin and Tocchet, because it wasn't long ago where they committed to him. And even if you fast forward to 12 months ago when Podkolzin was just so bad in the preseason, so bad, Rick Tocchet had his back more than anyone, saying that, he's the first guy to the rank, last guy off, works his ass off.
Yeah.
And here they are giving him to the Oilers, man. Dylan Holloway, potential replacement. Okay. That's what they're aiming for. No, that's what they are. It's hard for a stomach to it's hard for an organization to stomach the fact that, like the Oilers, they may lose a first round pick here. Like they drafted Dylan Holloway, they developed him. I'm pretty sure they drafted him in 2019, if I'm right. Like maybe 2020, whatever, right? And now they're coming to, hey, we're not going to keep this guy. Let's take a flyer on another first round pick who may give us similar something, similar effort, has like a bit of ceiling based on the assumption and the projections, or maybe the miscalculations of some scouts. But yeah, helping out the Oilers, I hope it doesn't happen. So I guess I got to say this, man. I'm an asshole, but I'm loyal to the blue and green. I'm loyal to you and you and you and you and you and you. I'm not loyal to Podkolzin. I hope you suck. I hope we win the trade, okay? I hope our 4th round pick gets more points than you by the time it's all said and done. Have fun in Edmonton, buddy.
Oh, let's go, man. Look, another guy we didn't even mention was Linus Karlsson. Linus Karlsson got the game puck in the playoffs, man. Where's Podkolzin's playoff game puck, man? Come on. That's a guy we didn't even mention, man. Unbelievable. Look, all the hype on Pods, I think, is attached to being a top 10 pick. And the fact he's a bigger physical guy, right? We always love those guys in hockey, but there's not much. I didn't have much of a feeling about Podkolzin either way. And, again, I think a 4th round pick. Again, trade in Edmonton, a little weird, but 4th round pick, you get something for a guy who you might have lost for nothing. And I think it's going to free the Canucks to do something else because, again, cap space matters. And this is a guy who, probably should be making league minimum, right? He's making $1 million. So, I don't really have too many bad things to say about this trade, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you honestly, bro. Thank you, man. Can everyone smash the like button for Trevor Beggs' optimism when giving up a former 1st round pick for a 4th round pick? Because you don't see a player in him, and bro, I feel like 12 months ago you didn't see it in him again. Like you were one of those people who are like not even feeling that bad for Podkolzin having a bad training camp because you're just kind of like, dude, this is what it is. He's just not that guy, and he'll never be that guy. And now he's an Edmonton Oilers, so I hope you lose. I hope you lose, buddy.
Yep. Podkolzin, one love to you and your family, but on the ice, I hope you suck in Edmonton.
We are assholes, but you know what? Again, we're not reporters, man. We're Canucks fans, okay? Go Canucks, go. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab for giving us the space to give you that West Coast bias. Beggsy has to go be a dad ASAP, so we really have to go out of here. Get out of here. I'm sorry. Again, hit the like button. It really does help us out a lot. We give you your Canucks every day. We're going to talk later this week about Justin Schultz, okay? Justin Schultz, I don't know if Brett Kulak's on the table anymore, but let's talk about some other defensemen that the Canucks can bring in to, again, give some competition to Myers, Forbert, Desjardins, what? How do you say his name? And Juulsen. Anyway, join the Discord, link in the bio, and one love, y'all. Trevor Beck, sign us out.
Hey, shout out to everyone from the everydayers to the first-time listeners. We love each and every one of you. You know what? My son does not like the Podkolzin trade, but I'm a fan, man. I'll teach him the ways. We got you covered this week. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. Catch you next time.